Welcome to this episode of One on One. I am Crystal Austin, your host, today with the pleasure of introducing to you Mr. Peter Skeete, Youth Commissioner. He and I today will be discussing youth development, youth deviance, and the way forward. Welcome to our program, Mr. Skeete.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here and to share this stage with a wonderful person like yourself, Crystal.
Likewise, thank you for obliging us. I know you're very, very busy at this time of the year, it being the throes of summer. But I want you to pause for a bit and cast your mind back to when you first got into this business of youth development and tell us how you made the jump into this very important field.
Well, this process started way back in 1991, even before the establishment of the Division of Youth Affairs to which I now work for. 1991 saw me postponing one of my professional contracts in England. Of course, I come out of a sporting arrangement, having played for the Barbados youth team way back in 1985, went on a cricketing scholarship in 1989, and hence played professionally for 2 years subsequent to that. But in 1991, something very significant took place in Hainesville. While in England, we learned that a group descended on the Hainesville community after a young man would have been alleged to have snatched a Kangol hat. And this mob descended on Hainesville. We heard kicking down people's houses and so on, and their doors in an effort to find this hat. So we came back home, and I actually didn't go to England in the subsequent year, 1992. And I took on the responsibility as president of Hainesville Football Club, because that episode came out of a match that was played. I wouldn't call the community for obvious purposes, but it was at the heart of the football season that the incident took place. So I came back home and became the president of the Hainesville Football Club at a very critical stage in the development of that club. The next year they were banned from playing home matches because it was felt that the spectators were quite deviant. And my first order of business was to meet with officials of the Barbados Football Association to let them know the importance of the sport in Hainesville. Football at the time had always served to be a unifying factor within the Hainesville space, and it would have produced some outstanding footballers, people like Michael Brooms or Stout, Fabian Edwards, and so on. So what we did at the time was those individuals who we felt were the trouble trees. We gave them leadership positions within the Hainesville Football Club, and a club that was banned from playing home matches became winners of the Division 3 competition, the Division 2 competition, and were promoted to Division 1 in less than 3 seasons. So that process started way back then. In 1995, because of that volunteer service and the fact that I had tremendous support as well as experience in youth work, community work, I became the youth commissioner on the establishment of the Division of Youth Affairs way back in 1995. And the process continued to this point.
So I want to hear how the programming has evolved over time. But before we get to that, I want to go back to something that you were saying earlier as it relates to the public perception that people would have had of young people and the decision making that then ensued. Tell me about this and how it impacts our young people's trajectory, the way how society views them and treats them.
Well, I think we in Barbados are quite fortunate. Yes, there's a perception that young people create challenges, but at the same time, we've done tremendous work with young people. I mean, they're not a situation where we can claim that there are not many opportunities that are extended to young people. At every stage of our development, our young people has been involved in various processes. But what I find is that they do not take full advantage of the opportunities that are extended to them. I mean, the Ministry of Youth was created specifically to deal with young people. For the first time in its history, we've had a ministry dedicated to serve young people, because at the time it was felt that they were not aware of the many opportunities that were available to them. Hence the creation of the ministry and the youth development program, which placed 30 youth commissioners in communities to have that direct contact with young people. So it is not fair to say that a lot has not been done for young people. And I've always felt that they respond quite positively to a lot of these initiatives, even although loads of them have not capitalized on the opportunities that have been extended to them. But we as a society, over the years, have done tremendous work with our young people.
So is it fair then to say that the young people today are worse than generations before, or is it that some of us have short memories of the badness that would have ensued in our time?
Look, all through the history, there were challenges with us as young people. I mean, I myself am not a saint. I mean, we all have had our challenges, but it is how we respond to these challenges that will ensure what future that we have moving forward. I mean, Hinsville in itself has had its challenges, but we've done tremendous work in trying to create those opportunities for our young people in an effort to minimize the stigma that has been associated with this community. I mean, there will still be pockets of what I would call restless behavior. I don't want to use the term deviant and antisocial or criminal activity. I find it to be more of restless behavior. And we've done tremendous work through sports, culture, education, entrepreneurship that help tremendously to raise our young people to the stage where this community is now a leading community in terms of culture. It has always been a leading community in terms of sports, but now we've added culture to the arrangement. And now the Hinsville Youth Club, you haven't gone to that yet, but now the Hinsville Youth Club is widely accepted as an outstanding cultural performing artist group in Barbados, and known throughout the region and internationally as well.
You used the word stigma just now. I have heard persons say things such as, if you're applying for a job, you shouldn't put down that you're from a place like Haynesville on the application, because employers will automatically put you at the bottom of the pile. Would you say that society makes determinations about who should be given a chance or not based on those things still? Or would you say that because of the work that has been done in communities such as this, that those concerns are no longer valid?
I believe so. I've heard it many years ago. I mean, there are still persons who would choose not to. But I find that the society has evolved, and a lot of businesses and companies are willing to give young persons from Hinsville that chance. You cannot judge an individual based on where he comes from, even although some might still wish to do that. But what I've found is that the community of Hinsville have had success stories in sports culture and in employment. So I've found that in recent time, businesses, government, non-governmental organizations, private sector entities have been willing to give young people from Hinsville that opportunity. It comes down to them now how they're going to use that opportunity to show that in spite of the fact that they're from a working class community, that they're willing to perform at their best. Obviously, some have failed along the way, but I still believe that wholeheartedly the opportunity has been there for young people, particularly from Hinsville, to excel.
So let's get into our favorite subject now, the Haynesville experiment.
Yeah.
We are sitting in what is known as the police post,
Yes.
but I do not see any police. Can you give me some historical information, some background information on how this structure was established and how it became the home of the Haynesville Youth Club?
Well, the police post I believe, was established in 1991. At that point in time when there was significant concern, not only here in the community, because if you can recall, there were posters set up in Eden Lodge, in the Pine, and New Orleans. These were the four communities that they were felt that had significant challenges with respect to restless behavior. And it came at a time when I think the commission at the time, Orville Joint, was exploring the whole concept of community policing, where they replaced posts, they replaced community police officers in these communities in an effort to bring the services closer to the people. There were concerns about restless behavior, so it was felt that if we can develop these outlets and place community police, then they will have a better relationship with the residents in the community. And it worked tremendously well. And the record will show that this building is the most active of all of the community police forces that there is in the country of Barbados. And we give them our wholehearted thanks and appreciation, particularly in absence of a major community center. Look, for years we've been calling for a major community center to service the more than 900 residents that exist in this space. And this is a small facility. And to think that our Hainsville Youth Club has risen from these modest facilities into an outstanding organization that can boast a membership of 65 young people consistently involved in sports and cultural activities, has taken these services throughout the region. We've traveled extensively throughout the region, sharing with our regional counterparts elements of our Barbadian and African culture. We've traveled as far as Kazakhstan and Dubai, showcasing our talent. And our representatives over time have come and they've sponsored concerts. But this is where that talent has been developed and harnessed, not only here, but we also give support and thanks to the National Sports Council, because over the years we've also used the Desmond Haynes Sports Complex, which has facilitated a number of the developmental programs that we continue to engage our young people as well in Hainsville. And to think that we have not yet received a major community center for all of the efforts that we've put in place for our young people, it really, Crystal, that's one of the most disappointing things that I've had to ensure in my more than 25 years of working in this community as far as youth work is concerned. And I'm hoping that with this new change, and I'm hoping that with this public interview that we're conducting, that at least we can hear now some major support for the establishment of a community center, because there's so many more young people that we can engage with a larger space.
Indeed. That being said, we must tip our hats off to you as well for the tremendous strides that you have been able to accomplish even with such limited resources. When I look around at what is influencing our young people, it's largely the dancehall culture coming out of Jamaica and the American culture. But here you are with 65 young people arduously engaged in understanding and learning and practicing their African heritage. Tell me about how you were able to make that transition into the very strong African focus that the Hainsville Youth Club has.
I've always said that the African culture, one can say that it's in Hainsville DNA. Hainsville, like other communities, I would call Deacons, I would call Pine, has its roots in the Rastafarian culture. I mean, I've been raised with a wonderful family, but I have no qualms about saying that three Rastafarian Nebingis have been instrumental in my development. I mean, Robert Sandiford has been a mentor for me, and he has dreadlocks for many years. So this is a community that has had a very strong Rastafarian culture. And I speak about Rastafarian culture in its totality. The fact that the whole concept of Rastafarianism speaks to unity. It speaks to a healthy lifestyle. It speaks to the awareness of one's African heritage. So to introduce African drumming and dance to Hansel community that has its roots in the Rastafarian culture was indeed a very significant mix. And it lends itself ideally to that fact. So once it was introduced, our young people, because of the DNA, would have readily gravitated towards the culture. And it still has its genesis. It still has its place. I mean, we've also explored street dance as well. Or Sade Sealy, one of our outstanding dancers, has choreographed numerous street dance pieces that has won numerous awards at Dance Fest. So we've explored other genres of dance based on the interests of our young people and how they see it at the time. But we must remain in the same way that Dance in Africa, that Pinelands Creative Workshop, and the Israel Level Foundation, we must remain rooted to our African heritage.
Forgive me for spending a little bit more time on Haynesville. You mentioned some of the awards that you would have won. What are some of the other accolades that this club boasts of?
Well, travel extensively throughout the region, St. Lucia, Grenada, Dominica, Guyana. We actually took them on a cruise ship last year, toured 6 countries, and we performed in 3 of them. So we've traveled extensively, exposing our young people to different cultures. We've provided for them. A lot of people see this as a small thing. This is deep. I mean, we go and perform for government institutions, private sector organizations, and we receive financial contribution for that effort, for our efforts. Because we are at that stage now, people see the value of it, so they're willing to pay. They're willing to pay for it.
Yes.
And what do we do with those resources? They don't come in my pocket. I work for the state. Every month I go and draw my own salary. But the resources that Hansel Youth Club make, it goes towards providing a direct stipend for those who are 16 years and over, who are unemployed. It provides opportunities for those who are younger. We provide bus fare, lunch money, school supplies for our members. We help to support, provide assistance to their parents as well. And all of them must be part and parcel of the homework, the education program here. We are not only interested in how good they can dance and drum, play cricket and football, but we are also interested in how well they do at school. Not only academically, because not everybody can be an academic, but we are also looking to explore whatever technical skills that they have and provide them with the necessary support so that we can bring out the best that our young people have to offer. So I would say that the success is not only in terms of our awards at NIFCA, but we've traveled and we provide significant support for our members. I mean, in COVID time, there was no entertainment, but we benefited significantly from the National Cultural Foundation COVID-19 grant, and we were able to help support our parents at a time when they found themselves unemployed with the resources that came out of that COVID-19 grant.
Let's look at the wider St. James South effect that being youth commissioner in this area would have had on the people in this neighborhood. I believe it is correct to say that we perhaps have had more cricketers coming out of this particular part of Barbados than any other part of the country.
Yes. Well, I mentioned at the start that before the establishment of the culture, we had a rich history in sports. Holders Hill, which is a community adjoining Hansel. I mean, when people speak about the cricketers in Holders Hill, they seem to forget that Hansel is involved too. I mean, Philo Wallace, an outstanding West Indies opening batsman, was from Hansel. Dame Maynard, an outstanding Barbados fast bowler. Neil Phillips, they're all residents of Hansel. but they've been associated with the Holders community. And we've produced 7 West Indies cricketers. As a matter of fact, we've produced more Test cricketers per capita than any other country in the world. So we've produced 7 West Indies cricketers, with Desmond Haynes being the most legendary. And we've also produced about 35 others who've represented the country at the first class level, as well as the youth level, not only in cricket, but almost every single discipline we've had national representation. Holders, Haynes, even horse racing, because Safi Joseph House is in Torps, you know, and his son is an outstanding trainer. So we've had a long history in the development of sports, but then with the establishment of the Youth Affairs Department and a number of the cricket programs that we've had over the years, that process continued. I mean, Shamar Brooks is a product of the ministry's program. Ryan Hines, it was also a product of the ministry's program after the rich history with Desmond and Franklin Stevenson and Philo Wallace and those. So we've also had young ones coming through. Hines, Naval Grisex. Naval Grisex is a product of our youth development program, cricket program. And Naval is today the sports scientist at Manchester City Football Club.
Indeed.
Haynesville resident.
How important is it for our young people today, especially with the restlessness, to be reminded that others have gone through what they've gone through and overcome?
Well, we are trying. I mean, Naval resides in the United States. I mean, in England, no. But he's always willing, when he returns here, to come and give his support. But Priscilla, the reality is that you would always hear people talk about communities like Haynesville and others. There's a lack of positive role models. Any young person who emanates from communities as such and receives success, good job, married, nobody gonna marry and live by the parents' house who's still in Haynesville. So it's gonna be very difficult for successful people to remain in these humble surroundings to provide that level of mentorship for the youngsters in the community. There will still be pockets of restless behavior. There will still be pockets of criminal activity, because the same way that myself and others, because it's not me alone, Sophia Lee, young Rahim Waldron, young Shadia Seeley, my officers at the Ministry of Youth, because I'm not doing this as a Peter Skeete, I'm doing this as an agent of the state. So which means that any support that we receive, this support have to be first approved by my senior youth commissioner and up the chain. So I keep saying to people all the time, it's not only me, but I'm just a lowly paid officer in the Ministry of Youth, just doing
you
what
keep saying that,
I'm
but
being paid
I'm
to
sure
do.
the young people who stand on your shoulders would disagree vehemently. We've touched already on some of the partner agencies that help to make this ecosystem here in St. James South one that is youth friendly. When we come back, we'll look at how parents play a role and what partner agencies have stepped forward to play their part in this wonderful story.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Danielle Reed-Melillo and I am a general physician, and today we're going to talk about obesity. Obesity is an NCD. An NCD is a non-communicable disease. Basically, that's an illness that cannot be passed from one person to another, such as diabetes, hypertension, or cancer. In contrast, a communicable illness can be passed between one person to another, such as COVID or the common cold. The BMI is the body mass index. Obesity is defined as a BMI over 30, and overweight is a BMI over 25. Your body mass index can be calculated online or at your next doctor's visit.
Hi, I'm Carl Padmore, Public Relations Officer of the Sanitation Service Authority. maybe you would have witnessed roadkill, or you would have passed the highway or a byway and seen a dead animal. We want you to report it to one of the numbers coming across the screen. We'll come and we'll remove that dead animal. Also, if you have an animal who has passed away at your home, we prefer you to do it the legal way than to throw it into the gully, contaminate the gully, and then we have problems. Barbados, we love our environment. Let us care our environment. Therefore, the correct way to dispose of dead animals, call the number coming across the screen. We are here to help you. The SSA cares. Clean thoughts, clean living, clean nation.
Tell me who a man spends his time with, and I'll tell you the type of man he is. Isn't it true that people become like the company they keep? I'm Chris Hurdle, clinical psychologist and certified life coach. Where do you spend most of your time? What is your emotional space like? Do you find yourself most often among people who are negative, naysayers, doom and gloom, or fearmongers? Or do you find yourself mostly among people who are positive, optimistic, calm, collected, and reassuring, who exude confidence? What is your emotional space like? Be intentional. You are the pilot of your life.
Welcome back to One on One. We are talking with Mr. Peter Skeete, Youth Commissioner on Youth Development, Youth Deviance, and the Way Forward. Before our break, you talked about some of the partner agencies that have been playing their role to help give some more depth to the programming. I understand that for this summer, you're involved in agriculture activities.
Yes, we have a wonderful backyard gardening and agriculture project that has received some support from the UNDP Small Grants Fund. We have close to 20 young persons here learning how to grow basic crops in small spaces. And then we've extended that to a plot in St. Lucie that a young man, Ramesses Boeing, would have received through the government Ministry of Agriculture feed program. And he's allowed us to come there with the young people so that they can receive training in wider areas of agriculture, beekeeping, and so on and so forth. So yes, those are one of the agencies, but I must point out that very early in our arrangement, we've done tremendous work with the National Council of Substance Abuse.
Yes.
Very early, because the National Council of Substance Abuse was established almost around the same time as the Division of Youth Affairs. I can recall there were three significant agencies: Ministry of Youth, Youth Development Program, National Council of Substance Abuse, and the Community Independent Secretariat.
Yes.
Those were three institutions that we work closely with. And that relationship continues up to this day. In between that, the National Cultural Foundation, what can I say about the National Cultural Foundation? In that it has given us tremendous support. I mean, partnering with the Ministry of Youth, that's how Haines Youth Club is at the stage where it's at now, by consistency in the training, to the extent where our young people are professional dancers and drummers and display the type of skill that is necessary to receive the level of financial support that we receive to help them, with their personal and other areas of development. The Seroptimists of Jamestown, we've done tremendous work with them in terms of our homework program here. The Pinelands Creative Workshop, the Israel Level Foundation, the National Sports Council, the Red Cross. In recent time, we've done tremendous work with the Red Cross and the new Director General, Ms. Danielle Toppin, in terms of advocacy, in terms of healthy lifestyle living. We through them, we've had urgent care, along with the Red Cross, along with the Ross University. They've come into this community and offering, free medical services to residents. They've had doctors, trained doctors on board to come and provide that service to our folks so that they bring it directly into the heart of the community. You know, and there are other agencies, too numerous to mention, the Community Development Department, the Ministry of Tourism. I cannot forget the Ministry of Tourism. They provide significant support to us. You know, very regular. We can be seen at the airport with our top band and our lovely dancers welcoming guests as they file through the airport. You know, and that too generates tremendous financial support for us to help with the development of the projects to which I speak to earlier. You know, Ministry of Health, significant government agencies, and I must tell you though too that we've had I believe very good parliamentary representatives.
Earlier, you talked about the parents and the importance of parents being involved in the programs. I'm imagining that you will take the young people as young as you can get them, but for the consistency of their involvement, tell me about the role that parents must play and some of the parent education programs perhaps that have been put in place to make sure parents walk hand in hand with what these development initiatives are trying to achieve.
Yes, that's very important. You can't speak to young people or develop them in isolation from their whole family structure. So what we've tried to do is maybe meet with parents on a consistent basis to keep them informed at every step of the way in terms of what we are doing. And the fact that we've had such consistency, it means therefore that they believe that what we do is meaningful.
Yes.
You can't ask a greater joy than a parent seeing his child performing on a national stage or seeing them in the newspaper, you know, with a clip having just performed. And that in itself brings joy and satisfaction to them. You know, like everything else, there will be criticism. And I've had my fair share of it because I believe in the philosophy that, and it has, the world will choose Barabbas. So in spite of all the good that you do, there will still be individuals who believe that you're horrible and this and next and third, because at the end of the day, the same way that we are trying to capture the imagination of our young people and channel them in a positive direction, there are forces out there who are trying to channel them in negative directions too. And we are very mindful of that. So while I would have received significant support from parents and brothers and sisters as far as the delivery of these positive programs are concerned, there are some who would like to see my removal because it may not fit in to what they will want to achieve for the young people, their agenda. You know, I walk these streets of Haynesville every day, and there are certain people that who consistently, you know, try to hurt me. But at the end of the day, as I say to people, I know my heart. And when I go to sleep at night next to my lovely wife, I am comfortable that I've done the best that I can to serve the young people in this community and within a moral compass. And I have no alternative motives as far as the delivery of the service to these young people are concerned. So in spite of the challenges, in spite of the negative things that may direct come towards me, I wish to send them a message quite clearly that I am not going to give up. I am not going to give up as far as trying to continue to create opportunities for young people in Haynesville so that they can reach their fullest potential. So you can curse on.
In another interview, I would love for you to go into more detail about some of the wonderful stories of how parents perhaps had a change of heart from seeing their children in the spotlight, as you would have described, or maybe having to take that step and go and get the passport for the child to be able to travel and to leave that child in your hands as a part of this group to travel and go to places that perhaps they have never been or may not think they would ever go. But what I think maybe we might only have time for is our young people. So tell me about volunteering versus being paid. I, for one, believe very strongly that young people ought to get involved in volunteer activity because it is such a wonderful gateway for them to get into productive activity and often discover skills that they didn't even know that they had. But at the same time, you're giving us this story, and you've said it a number of times now about how important and how far the stipend goes. How do you draw the line between choosing opportunities for the young people that are volunteer oriented, where they won't get any remuneration or any stipend or honorarium, but that it would be beneficial for them at their heart's level, versus those that will make sure that in the upcoming school term, parents are able to be mobilized and have the wherewithal to make ends meet?
First, we got to be very mindful in how we use this term volunteering, because yes, volunteering is good, develop skills and so on, but persons that who don't have significant financial means, how are you going to tell somebody to travel to Christchurch to volunteer? They still need to get there. They still need to eat. So those that who come to Hansel Youth Club and ask for volunteer performances, I have a big long speech that I give them. You know, they go and purchase they pay for the jumping tent, they pay for the stage, you know, they pay for the caterers, and then they expect the performers to come and do a little thing for free. But the performers still got to transport the instruments to get there. You know, how will you ask or continue to ask a child, a parent of a child, they're going to dance at NIFCA, they're going to dance and perform at other community, other national events, and then they wake up and the next morning can't get to school because they have no school shoes. We don't subscribe to that type of thinking. Our young people must be rewarded, and not only financially, for their efforts. We must be able to help them. If you're going to volunteer, you shouldn't be out your resources to volunteer. That is the philosophy that we speak to. So while volunteering is good, there still is a cost associated with that. In bringing a young person to provide assistance or to provide service, but at the same time, they still need to be able to eat. They still need to be able to get to the facility. So they still need that sort of financial support, because you can't jump up in the van and say, well, look, carry me someplace for free. Or go to the supermarket, I'll just volunteer, give me a bag of rice. You know, so at the end of the day, it's not all about money, but at the same time, it is about money.
Totally understood. What is the greatest reward for you as youth commissioner in terms of what you hope for these young people?
Well, I love what I do. Dr. Bradley Nels said to me many years ago that community work is not a job, it's a calling. And I've seen my mom, even although we came from a modest arrangement, I've seen her assist people. I've seen my whole family has a rich tradition and history of service. I mean, Hamilton Blackman, first cousin of mine, he served for many years in the 4-H movement. My other cousin, Dennis Britton, he died having retired as the Deputy Chief Community Development Officer. You know, my brother Sammy is coaching at Lester Vaughan School. So I come from a family that has given back to the community. So it's in me. And I made reference earlier to 3 Rasta men who used to live in a cave, and one of them was a mentor. He took me to my very first cricket match that I watched at Kensington Oval. He watched me all through my career, leaving the cave and coming to watch me play, and hide, because if people to see jumping up when I hit a 4-wheel, there's rastas around here. So that shows the commitment that he had in health. Sayaka nurse from Maple. When I first went to Maple, he paid for my club fees. All I had to do was just eat food and get to cricket. And it is that same courtesies that I've extended to young people, using my own resources, and at the same time providing that service as a lowly paid officer of the Crown Crystal. And I'm pleased to do it, but As I said to somebody the other day, how bad it will look me retiring at 65 as a youth commissioner. I believe that I don't have the energy that I've had 25 years ago. And to some extent, there's a need for younger people to come in, to connect, because this generation that we're seeing, to be honest with you, is much different than the young ones that we've seen when we first come in. I found that I'm probably as an indictment on us too, or as senior person. You look at it at every area of development. Look at how our cricket is at present. We've had outstanding cricketers with who would have received less because they had a love for the sport, recognizing the importance of it to Barbadian and West Indian society. This generation now is about money. It's about money. It's about entitlement, and I've found that is what we are seeing coming through with our young people. So we need to change direction and to meet them where they are. If they're looking for instant gratification because of the new technologies that evolve, and you can't have it both ways. So we've got to find ways and means of reaching them in more creative ways. And perhaps I might have outlived my usefulness, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with that. But you can look back and see significant successes given the time to which those successes has been achieved, and you're able to chart a course forward for a new generation to come in and carry on this work, even if it is done a bit more different. But I still love young people. I still commit myself to them, and I will continue to be here to support them for as long as life lasts.
One of the underlying threads that I keep hearing throughout this entire interview is how a strong hand on these young people, whether it's yours or the granting agencies rather, or the parents, that much of what our young people need really is guidance, is mentorship, is support. And with that in place, regardless of if it's from someone that is related to them, Naibingis, in a cave, who adopt you, whatever it is, that there's hope for them. But Mr. Skeete, it is fair to say that you can't save all of them.
Can't save all. But this thing about saving one, I don't live with that neither, because one is not enough. Look, all we can do, Chris, is to create the opportunities for young people. Be a living example of health. That's critical. Because if I say to all young persons that who I come into contact with, you cannot resolve conflict by taking up a knife and stabbing somebody, then that is the same principle that I must live by.
Correct.
And a lot of these young people in this community can tell you that they've never seen me even attempt any violence. So I try as hard as possible to live the example that I want to impart on them, and that is critical. I live with that view, you know, and I think that is necessary. But all we can do, as I said, is to provide the opportunities for them, show them the strategies and the cultures and the values that have held us as a people dearly, and then allow them to make a choice. That's all you can do. We cannot make nobody do anything. We can only try to influence them. But at the end of the day, they have a choice to make. And that is the decision that I am not going to run down behind nobody telling them, come and get into a skills training program, as I've done before. But they know where to find me if they want to get themselves involved in a part of our activity. And if they choose a negative activity and they suffer the consequences of it, when they come home from wherever they've been, my door is still open. Police sports is still open. The Desmond Haynes Sports Complex is still open. And the Division of Youth Affairs is still very much open to engage them.
And more importantly, they will always be welcome.
They would always be welcome.
No stigma. To wrap up our interview today, I want you to hammer home the point that you made earlier. I believe it was made recently by the minister as well. The fact that there are so many opportunities for our young people to get involved in productive activity if they would only seek, they would only ask, if they would only turn to those who are often very visible. Give them some message of hope, drawing from your many years of experience, so that that young person who may be feeling despair, who may be feeling tempted by the restlessness, could perhaps make a decision today, watching this interview, that they do have, as you said, that choice, and that those choices do take them in the direction of opportunities that can give them, and the word that you use, which I think is so beautiful, is stability.
Well, it's all there, Chris. What more really can be done? I mean, I remember a time I said to Mr. Keith King served as the director of the St. James South Constituency Council, and he had a long employment opportunity as a senior man in the insurance field. I said to Mr. King one day, you know that if your board had to make a decision that they were going to send home a maid who was being paid $300-400 per week, why is it that you're the senior officer who could very well be working for $12,000 a month? Well, why can't he say, well, I'm willing to take a reduced salary in an effort to keep her employed? Mr. King, the world don't work, so Krista, there's enough in the world for everybody. But what is required is an understanding that, look, let me share some of my resources to those who do not have. Look, not everybody will have the opportunity to get a good education where they can receive a good job. There will always be persons, even in the great United States, they're homeless people.
Yes.
But I am saying that, look, how can you see a man homeless and you live in a 6-bedroom house alone? That is the point that I'm making. There's a need for a human being to rise up and to be able to motivate the citizens of this world that, look, I am my brother's keeper. If I have a house that has 6 bedrooms in it, why can't I bring in 4 homeless people? That is what I'm talking about. And when I speak these things, people ask me, what are you talking about? But that is the world that I want to see, where those who have significant wealth, because how big a house can you live in? How much money can you spend in one day? And at the same time, people live generating large amounts of money, and they die and leave it. And then there are persons out there that who don't have a cent. Let us share some of our wealth to those who do not have the opportunity to gain it. And that is what I want to see us as citizens of the world get to the stage where that can happen. And I'm not just talking it. I've done it, and I continue to do it. And there are persons out there who have significantly more wealth than me who can do it as well.
Well, I can certainly say that just from observation of the way how you and your young charges move about as you go to your different performances and so on, that the very values and mores that you're espousing now, that you live by them, and that they too are being instilled with those types of ideals. And I believe that they are better for it. And I believe that the example that they set, that they are showing to their peers, is rubbing off. And I trust that even as you hinted that you may very well be retiring in a couple years or so, that whoever fills your shoes will continue to walk just as tall and encourage our young people to live lives that are not just self-gratifying, but that uplift others. And with that, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Skeete, for taking the time to spend just an hour or so with us here on One-on-One to talk about the wonderful work that is being done, whether it's the Homework Club, whether it's sports, whether it's agriculture. I am convinced that our young people, particularly in this part of our island, are in wonderful hands. And I look forward to seeing more accolades bestowed upon you and your team and all of the young people for which you are responsible. Thank you so much.
I'm grateful to you as well for taking your time out to come and hear about these stories.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Well, folks, you have been watching One-on-One. We spent some time today with Youth Commissioner Peter Skeete, who gave us a full rundown of all of the wonderful opportunities that continue to be made available to our young people to ensure that they can avoid the restless behavior, as he calls it, and move into productivity, move into lives that can influence and benefit their families, and of course, find stability in the futures that they so deserve. We thank you for tuning in, and we look forward for you to join us on the next episode of One-on-One.